What's good, tribe? You know? So there's a video of a woman, a black woman, whose son went to an interview to a restaurant looks like McDonald's. Her son goes to the interview, and then um, the part that we see that the mom comes back with her son, angry because the manager tells the mom the boy's hair was too long and she didn't like it was in his face. Whatever reason she come up with, right? So the mom's upset about this. None of that is the issue, right? The mom called the manager racist and whatever. None of that is the issue. Here's what the issue is. Raising a son, your son gonna need to hear the word no several times in his life. Seriously. As a young man, you need to hear the word no way more than you need to hear the word yes. Way more. It's easy. See, a lot of these women out here objectifying their sons. Instead of letting this boy, here's my problem. Instead of letting this boy take his ass home after being told no for the job interview, after being told no, instead of that boy taking his ass home, licking his wounds, getting ready for the next interview, he then sends his mama to the interview. Oh, I can't believe. No, that's not how you handle that shit. Not how you handle that at all. Matter of fact, letting him hear the word no then prepares him for life. Your son should hear no a whole lot in his life. A whole lot. Hearing when you hear enough no's in your life as a man, when you hear enough no's in your life, that sets you up for when you finally hear a yes. You become more resilient. You become more capable of dealing with setbacks and different challenges in life. Hearing the word no sets you up for a couple of yeses down the road. I can't tell you how many times I've heard the word no in my life. I'm a 2-time felon. Bro, I was in prison over a total of 12 years. Ex-gangbanger, ex-drug dealer. I did all kinds of shit in my future. So I heard no a bunch of times in my life. Hearing no always set me up for success because I knew I was literally one yes away from whatever it is I wanted. So this mom yelling or, arguing with his manager because she told the boy he couldn't have the job doesn't change the fact that he doesn't have the job. As a matter of fact, the mom showing up there now trying to defend her son for whatever reason is making it even worse. Now, the boy is 16 years old. You have to listen. And I know a lot of you single moms don't really understand this, but you have to let him hit his head a couple of times. And that's my wife. I'm infamous for this with my wife. My wife used to tell me she hated when I would tell my children that shit. Yeah, you're gonna have to bust your ass a little bit. Sometimes you're gonna need to fall to fully understand what it's like falling. So when you get to fall, you get to a point where you might fall, you remember what it was like when you fell last time. A lot of y'all want to coddle your son and keep him soft and keep him away from life. And when they become grown-ass men, they act like women. They complain like women. They're all emotional. They can't, and they walk around and they're just like goddamn animals. And you're like, oh, it's the white man's fault. No, it ain't. You're raising your son to be a punk. He should be able to go to that job interview, take that no, and go to the next one. It's McDonald's. Everyone worked there at once in their life. It's a McDonald's job. It's not like he worked at Goldman Sachs or some shit. He working at McDonald's. I'm not saying nothing bad about McDonald's. What I'm saying is, as a first-time job, McDonald's makes sense. Now, granted, their treatment of the boy may not have been ideal in their mind, right? But if the manager says no, if the manager says let's say she just says no, it's no for whatever reason. You don't then get to go back and be like, why you say no? Whatever she said no, she said no. Men need to hear no often. Men need to build resilience often and soon. The sooner a young man is able to control his emotions, understand what life is going forward, he's able to deal with life easier. Life is as hard as it is. Allowing your son to see hurt, allowing your son to every now and again get what my uh, to get punched in the face metaphorically, allows him to say, when life really gets hard, go, okay, I need to figure this out. My son, he's engaged to his fiance. His now fiance, which when they stayed here, she just wasn't working out, so we ended up kicking her out. My son said, okay, she gotta leave. I'm leaving with her. Okay, so he moves out. He doesn't stay far from us at all. So here recently, the guy he stays with, or his roommate now, has upped the rent, right? And they pay for both of them was like almost $900, right? So, they're really mad about it. I don't understand what they're. So my wife is trying to, she's trying to take his side with the situation. I'm not trying to hear it. I told him, I said, son, listen, you can't find rent. A 1-bedroom, bathroom, X, Y, and Z for $900 in 2025. You're not going to be able to find that. And true enough, he living with somebody else, but you're not going to be able to find that at that level. Paying $600 for rent, you might have to live with 8 other people, right? So I tell him, I said, son, what I want you to understand is, in real life, when you actually get a real job, move into your own place, and rent from somebody, they may up the rent. That might happen. That's a reality of paying rent for people, right? Unless you own your home. But when you own your home, the most you may get is you might get some taxes, like the property tax might increase. But because of how that sits, you're going to know that's coming. When you rent for people, they can raise the rent at any time, and oftentimes in your agreement when you rent from somebody, it is say that in the agreement. That way, the person you're renting or the landlord isn't liable for saying, okay, now you owe me $1,200, right? And usually the increase is reasonable. It's $50, $100 kind of thing, right? But allow my son to just, he raised the rent. He raised the rent. Now what if I do what this mother did? My son got his rent raised up. What if I get mad? I get mad now. I gotta go to my son's landlord and say, you raised his rent, right? You raised his rent. It was, I think at first they were paying like $850, went to like $875, almost $900, right? So it wasn't a massive raise, but it was large enough where you go, okay, in where he's working at, he don't make the kind of money to pay that kind of rent, right? So I understand why that amount of money is significant to him. But had I done for my son what this woman doing to her son for the job interview, I'm then sending my son back. I'm telling him, look, son, that's what life is. Life is going to be hard, man. And the moment y'all start understanding that your child needs to experience hard shit early. I tell my daughter all the time, as it relates to my granddaughter needs to experience hard shit right now. I want to tell you what the beauty about that is. And I teach about this in my book, Parenting Principles, is when your child is able to fail in what I call a controlled environment, it then sets them up for success in life when they are in uncontrolled environments. So a controlled environment would be like in home, or if you're outside, in your yard where the parents are, that's a controlled environment. Or if you're in school, right, around teachers and a little boy is picking on you, that's a controlled environment. But for parents, the home where your child is, that's a controlled environment. They should be able to learn life lessons right there in that controlled environment. You fall and bust your ass, guess what? You got to bust that ass. So when they get older and they bust their ass, they metaphorically bust their ass, they lose a job, their girlfriend break up with them, their car gets stolen, they got to pay more insurance, whatever life throws at you, right? You learn that, okay, that's just life. It's just what it is. Now, oftentimes, you may find people who just can't take it, and they're overly emotional, and they as opposed to just dealing with it, right? Those kind of people have never been taught how to deal with adversity in a controlled environment, i.e. with their parents. So this boy right here, as a matter of fact, because I'm watching it on YouTube, this boy is not going to learn that, hey, when life gets hard, I got to figure this shit out. I don't have time to be like, Mom, will you come help me? I left home when I was 14, 15 years old. Bro, I don't know parents. I was on the street at 14 years old. I went to prison at 17. I did 7 years, 8 months my first time. I went back to prison in 2005, and I did 4 years, 9 months, second time. Right? I know about eating shit for a long time. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be told no. I know what it's like to get kicked in the balls and then learning how to recover from that. I have definitely been kicked there. Hard too. Life has taught me countless lessons as it relates to becoming more resilient. Not allowing your son to experience hard things is going to prove detrimental to his longevity as a man. And I get it, a lot of y'all ain't really there yet. You don't have a man in your life to teach your son how to be a man. Well, that's unfortunate. But the sooner you can allow your son to eat, what I call it, eat a bucket of shit, right? And the sooner you can allow your son to experience life for what life really is, the sooner he'll be able to deal with it when he gets older. The boy in this example is 16. I don't know how old his mom is, but the boy is 16 years old, right? When he turns 18, that's 2 years. If he doesn't learn right now that no is no, every time somebody tell him no, what his mom gonna go run to, he gonna be 18 years old. Why you tell my baby no? My baby, he ain't a goddamn baby. That boy, 18, 16, 17, 18 years old, he a young man. He is not a baby. That is not a child. He needs to learn how to be a man, and soon. The world, and that's the thing about a lot of these mamas, these baby mamas. The world doesn't give a goddamn because your baby is emotionally hurt. The world doesn't care. Like no adult is crying for other adults who don't know how to adult. That's not my fault that your parents failed you. And you do your child, especially mothers who have sons, you do your son a greater disservice when you don't give them the tools necessary to navigate life when things get difficult, and it's going to get difficult. Y'all know, y'all been there. I'm 48 years old, man. Been married 20 years. You can't tell me in my 40 years of living that life is going to be easy and I should just be able to navigate it like, whatever. No, this is going to be hard. And you need to learn to develop the skills to make sure that it gets less hard as you get older. Now, it's going to always be hard because that's the nature of life. But anything worth having has a difficulty factor. Life is no different. You're going to experience difficulties in your life. The beautiful thing about that is you develop what we call the resilient muscle. You develop the resilient muscle, a resilient heart, a resilient mind. The resilient muscle covers your entire body. I need to develop a resilient mind, meaning I don't need to be emotionally attached to every damn thing that happens to me. A resilient heart. Things happen, they just happen. And let's move on. This is a great example of a mother who should have taught her son that no is okay. And I'm going to go one further. For those of you who know the story, I'm going to go one further. And sometimes, let's just say the manager is racist. Sometimes you're going to experience racist people. Nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. I'm out, tribe. Peace.